Oh, here we go.
Tits.
Feminism, the female equivalent to male chauvinism. A herd of self-entitled hippos, oblivious to their own first-world middle-class educated privilege. And yet it seems to be feminists' prerogative to educate young boys that their white male privilege and hegemonic masculinity are at the root of domestic violence. Fuck you, men. Fuck you. Right? Let me educate you as to how the very potential to abuse, rape or murder correlate to the white cock between your legs.
White man, you're a fucking white man. White male, you're a fucking white male. White man, you're a fucking white man.
Never mind that the fact remains almost a quarter of victims of intimate partner homicide are male, and these deaths are hardly ever reported as the male victim label makes for a shitty story no one wants to hear. And never mind that we downplay the fact female violence can also be lethal towards men and towards children. In fact, women account for more than half of all murders of children.
I'll scream so awfully bloody, deadly horrible, my mom will think you tried to murder me. And I'll tell her you did, and she'll believe it, because boys are like that and girls aren't. That really stinks.
So while we can acknowledge that women are more frequently the victims of domestic violence, is it responsible to teach young men that the root of it all comes down to their toxic masculinity and white privilege, while ignoring the fact that women are just as capable to commit violence against their partners and more likely than men to abuse their children? Well, that seems to be the consensus at more and more high schools in my home state of Victoria. Let's look at this article that highlights the troubling trend of schools adopting these fuck white men teachings. Victorian schools adopt anti-privilege feminist clubs. Guess who gets the shit end of the stick here?
You're white ass! You're fucking white ass!
Schoolyard feminist collectives are springing up across the country as young women are presented with a grim picture of gender equality by a new wave of education programs that place white male privilege and hegemonic masculinity at the root of family violence. Great, so that's a wonderful message to give boys from an early age. That behaviour so abhorrent lies beneath the surface of every boy, like a volcano waiting for the right moment to erupt and destroy their families or partners that they love. Is it any wonder that boys are becoming more and more depressed, and that they're killing themselves at disturbing rates, when they're demonised and subjected to a guilty before proven innocent mentality? A whole bunch of fucking high schools in Melbourne have followed Fitzroy High School in establishing feminist collectives or clubs in recent times. South Australia's Glenunga International High School also runs a feminism club that is offered to students as a co-curricular activity. Well, thankfully, some schools have offered this as a co-curricular activity. If some complaining girls want to have a little scissor-off feminist club to double-click their mouses to, by all means, waste your time. But it's when boys are forced to attend these classes, and in some cases are required to do well at, to maintain a good grade, then that's when it starts to really fuck me off. Meanwhile, schools throughout Victoria and the ACT and internationally in Argentina, Brazil and Berlin have taken up the Fitzroy High School Feminist Board Collective's teaching resource, Fight Back, despite concerns it simplifies the issue of violence in the community and potentially alienates boys and men. Well, let's be honest, it really does alienate them, doesn't it? Force-feeding them bullshit about how the whiteness of their skin...
White guilt, piece of human garbage.
How the testosterone running through them is a root cause for domestic violence. It's fucking disgusting. It's some sick shit, and anyone who peddles that crap should be fucking ashamed. As The Australian reported on Wednesday, teachers are being encouraged to develop feminist board collectives as part of the Victorian Labor government's $21 million Respectful Relationships program to tackle family violence, which promotes Fight Back as a classroom resource for students from Year 9 upwards. Our government spent $21 fucking $1 million so that we could set up feminist clubs that shame boys and produce anti-domestic violence adverts showing how little boys pushing little girls can lead to them beating the shit out of their partners when they're men. I believe it's a good idea to educate people about family violence, but it's so painfully biased towards men. It is equally important to highlight that men suffer from this too, and that women are just as capable of abusing men. Let's show some fucking honesty, please.
Just kick it as hard as you can at your mum, alright? Go on. Headshot! Ripper! I knew you could kick, you just needed a bigger target.
So that wanker was a cunt stain, that's it. Having a cock and balls doesn't mean you're going to be the asshole that belts a football at his Mrs. Temple.
Headshot!
Lol. Bigger target. While heavily criticised by Victoria's opposition, as well as several education experts, the program has attracted the support of a whole bunch of dumb cunts in politics, who said yesterday that getting students talking about respectful relationships, including from a feminist perspective, is a great thing. Yeah, talking about things from a feminist perspective is a good thing. Just fuck the boys who suffer from the sexist teachings feminists project onto them. Mr. Bant said he was proud that young women in his electorate were behind the program. Instead of trying to restart old battles, culture war conservatives would do well to remember that even Malcolm Turnbull calls himself a feminist now, he said. Oh, piss off, he's a feminist. Politicians will suck any group's dicks, or rather, vages, who have the power to affect their election campaign negatively. It's better to say you're a feminist than risk the onslaught of shaming tactics these cunts love that's sure to ensue. Designed to educate students about negative attitudes that contribute to high rates of sexism and discrimination, and ultimately violence against women. Fight Back paints a worrying picture of inequality in Australia. In one activity, students are told there are common perceptions about equality, including that women are already equal, that we are in a post-feminist era, or that men suffer inequality too. And there it is. Misconceptions about the existence of men suffering from inequality as well. There's the true feminist colours right there. Men don't suffer. Women don't hold privilege over men. Say what? What's that? Women receive more leniency towards sentencing, having committed the same crime as a man? Child custody favours mothers over fathers? Society ultimately sees women as victims and therefore unfairly labels masculinity as the root of domestic violence? Wake up to your own bullshit. Students are shown statistics on the pay gap between the sexes and women's representation in politics, business, sport and film, and are asked, so, are we equal? Yeah, we all know how to refute the wage gap crap. What else was there? Oh yeah, study politics instead of gender studies at uni. Learn how to better negotiate your worth and work longer hours to advance your position in a business. Accept the fact that women are not physically equal to men and that people watch sport to see the highest level of physical ability. Men's sports will attract greater audiences and pay than women's, with some exceptions. And what's the last one? Film. I don't know, be prepared to get your tits out more. Fuck this shit. A recurring theme throughout the program, as with respectful relationships, is the notion of privilege, that some groups have advantages over others because of their birth identity. Yeah, women. Being born white in Australia, you have advantages, the guide says. By being born male, you have advantages that you may not approve of or think you are entitled to, but that you gain anyway because of your status as male. Yeah, fuck right off. This is just pissing me off now. The Fitzroy High School feminist Borg collectives.
By assimilating other beings into our collective, we are bringing them closer to perfection.
Somehow, I question your motives.
Started in 2013 as a lunchtime book club that, according to this website, revealed a sense of anger and frustration about gender inequality. An angry feminist? No way.
I'm angry. Fuck you.
Federal Education Minister Simon Birmingham said the number one focus of our classrooms should be on core skills starting with literacy and numeracy. What a statement to end on. Leave the gender studies and feminism to those insufferable crybabies who think the world owes them something. Thanks for watching. Tits out.